Rahul Bhat's family had fled Kashmir when Pakistan-backed radical Islamists had carried out mass murder of Kashmiri Hindus in the 1990s. Hours after Rahul Bhat, a Kashmiri Hindu employee of the Gen administration, was killed in cold blood, his father told India Today it was a mistake to have sent his son back to the Kashmir Valley. Kashmiri Pandits demanding justice were lathi-charged by the police. In fear and in frustration, 350 Kashmiri Pandits have now submitted their resignation to the Lieutenant Governor. India Today's Sunil Ji Bhatt with our top story. A brutal murder, a massive protest, and a major political face-off. The Kashmir Valley is once again in a state of unrest over the horrific murder of a Kashmiri Pandit, Rahul Bhat, by Pakistan-backed radical Islamist terrorists. 350 Kashmiri Pandit workers submitted their mass resignation to the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, saying they felt unsafe in the valley. Ruckus erupted in Jammu when the Kashmiri Pandit community took to the streets and staged an angry demonstration against the targeted killings by terrorists. They blocked the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway. The police fired tear gas shells at protesters to prevent them from moving towards the airport road in Budgam. Rahul Bhat, a JNK administration officer, was shot dead at point-blank range inside the Tehsil office in Budgam on Thursday. Though he was taken to hospital, he died of the gunshot injuries. His mortal remains arrived in Jammu for the last rites. Narrating the horrific incident, Bhatt's wife Meenakshi said her husband never felt safe in Budgam and that he had repeatedly requested for a transfer to the district headquarters to a safer location.
मैं उसको बोलती थी मत जाओ उधर, डीसी ऑफिस ट्रांसफर करा ले, छोड़ दे नौकरी, हमको नौकरी भी नहीं चाहिए, मुझे पता है तू वहाँ पे सारी जगह तेरे को जानते हैं, सारे जानते, बोलता है मैं सेफ रहूंगा, मुझे सारे जानते हैं, उसको नहीं पता था उनमें कोई निकलेगा उनमें गरीबों की भी बहुत मदद करता था.
Politics over the daylight murder by terrorists has escalated. JNK BJP chief blamed Pakistan-backed terrorists for the killings.
ये पाकिस्तान के जो कायर आतंकवादियों ने घटना की है, इसके विरुद्ध पूरे जम्मू कश्मीर में, पूरे हिंदुस्तान में गुस्सा है. इन सभी कायर पाकिस्तानी आतंकवादियों को जमीन के पाताल से निकाल कर इनको मौत के घाट उतारेंगे.
हमें भी इस चीज का दुख हो रहा है और इस प्रकार की घटनाएं होने से कहीं ना कहीं जो शांति प्रक्रिया का प्रोसेस चल रहा है उसमें कई अड़चन आती है. लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि जल्द ही इन लोगों का जो गुस्सा है, कश्मीरी पंडित मुलाजिमों को सुरक्षा के साथ किस प्रकार से हम करें, इसके लिए केंद्र में भी बात की जाएगी और जल्द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में भी बात की जाएगी.
Stressing that Pakistan should not be blamed for the killings in Kashmir, Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut demanded a thorough investigation into the killing.
मुझे लगता है गृह मंत्री को इस बारे में बहुत ही गंभीरता से सोचना होगा. ये जो चल रहा है कश्मीर में फिर एक बार, ये क्या साजिश है. बार बार कश्मीर की तरफ उंगली मत उठाइए, पाकिस्तान की तरफ उंगली मत उठाइए. हम क्या करने जा रहे हैं कश्मीरी पंडितों के लिए, ये बहुत ही अहम सवाल है.
PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti appealed to the people of Kashmir to stand with Kashmiri Pandits and Sikhs. She also asked people to pray for Hindu-Muslim unity.
मैं अपने तमाम लोगों से इल्तिजा करती हूं कि आज जुम्मे के दिन तमाम मस्जिदों में हिंदू मुस्लिम भाईचारे की हिफाजत की पुरजोर वकालत की जाए और साथ ही में जो जम्मू कश्मीर का जो भाईचारा है, जो जम्मू कश्मीर का जो इतिहास रहा है, जो हिस्ट्री रही है, कि हम इकट्ठे रहने वाले लोग हैं, एक सेक्युलर स्टेट है, पूरे मुल्क को मैसेज दे ताकि मुल्क में जो इस वक्त सरकार है उनको मुसलमानों को बदनाम करने का मौका न मिले.
32 years have passed, but nothing has changed for Kashmiri Pandits. The handful of Kashmiri Pandits who are left in the valley are being targeted now, and we are witnessing a fresh spate of killings of the members of the minority community in the Kashmir Valley. The Kashmiri Pandit community is saying enough is enough. How long do they have to suffer the punishment of being Hindus in Kashmir? With video journalist Neeraj Kumar, this is Rahul Bhat reporting from Jammu for India Today.
So the Kashmiri Pandits are saying enough is enough. Their fear, their frustration is understandable. But the failure of the government in degrading the ability of terrorists to strike at will has raised many questions about the efficacy of the government's Kashmir policy, especially aspects related to protecting Kashmiri Hindus. Joining me on India First, GVL Narasimha Rao is Bharatiya Janata Party's Member of Parliament and leader. Lieutenant Gen Syed Hasnain has commanded the Kashmir Corps, knows the area like the back of his hand. Tanvir Sadiq is the spokesperson and leader of the National Conference. GVL Narasimha Rao, Kashmiri Pandits say 3 decades, even after 3 decades, nothing has changed for them, sir. They were unsafe in Kashmir then, they are unsafe in Kashmir now.
Gauravji, I think the killing of Mr. Bhat is certainly a very, very shocking and an act of condemnation, act that needs to be condemned unequivocally. It's an act of terror, and I certainly concede the point that we need to really find a way of ensuring safe living of all those who have returned to Kashmir. But for those who say that the policy is wrong, I would ask them, I would really question that, because we've been able to neutralize terrorists to a significant extent. The number of terrorists that have been killed in the last 7 years is certainly significantly more than what was happening earlier. There are not major acts of terror incidents. These are targeted killings with a motive to drive Kashmir Pandits out of the Kashmir Valley once again. Okay. And I see a coalition of interests, all anti-India interests coming together to stand in support. But I would like to ask our friend from PDP, would you support every activity of the government to bring all Kashmir Pandits back and give them their due? Or you're only trying to indulge in politics at a time when Kashmir Pandits in Kashmir are genuinely aggrieved about what has happened?
Let me take that to Tanvir Sadiq of the National Conference. Let me take that to Tanvir Sadiq. Sir, the government is to be blamed. The government hasn't been able to stop these targeted killings. But has the valley been so radicalized that there is no place for Hindus in Kashmir at all anymore? Is Kashmiriyat dead and buried now? Tanvir Sadiq Sahab?
Gaurav, first of all, my heart goes out to the family of Rahul Bhat. I mean, it is so painful. Yesterday it was Rahul, today it is Riaz.
Yes.
Rahul's killing is a murder, and clearly he was targeted and killed because of who he was. Nothing can ever justify a murder. Every right-thinking person feels the pain and condemns it. With every, I've been saying it since morning that with every killing, Kashmiriyat and Kashmir dies with it too. But that being said, there are a couple of things. GVL, again, you know, he's the one, or his party is the one which is ruling Jammu and Kashmir and the center as well. We were told that post 2019 August 5, there will be no murder, no violence. Kashmiri Pandits will be returned back peacefully and respectably. There will be no violence, militancy will end. Now my question is, what has changed since then? On the other hand, what you have done is, you have totally alienated a full majority community. Now Kashmiri Pandits, please, I want to take you back. These are the same Kashmiri Pandits who were, and that was the only thing which was done, and that was done by the National Conference under the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's package, where 3,000 Kashmiri Pandits were returned to Jammu and Kashmir. That is how you do it. But tell me, in the last 4 years, what have they done? They don't have a sense of security. Gaurav, the most important part is that today they came out to protest, and that was a genuine protest. Even a genuine protest is seen as a violent protest, and they were tear gassed. What were they asking? They were asking, where is our security?
Okay.
Why doesn't anybody come to us and talk to us? Neither the LG, nobody from the admin, not even one person from the government of India has condemned this killing. Now, the very important part is that you need to understand the violence of the situation on the ground can be gauged from the fact that a person is killed inside a Tehsil office. A person walks in, shoots him, goes out, and nobody traces him. This is the ground situation right now.
Let me take this to Gen Hasnain. Sir, you've raised some very pertinent points. You've raised some very pertinent points. Gen Hasnain, Hindus were not safe in the Kashmir Valley in 1990 and lakhs fled. A few hundred or a couple of thousand, as Tanvir Sadiq puts it, dared to return to roots. Sir, they are being singled out and hounded out. The terrorists clearly appear to be like fish in water, kill and melt into the crowd, as Tanvir Sadiq very rightly pointed out, sir.
Gaurav, firstly, my deep regrets for this very, very unfortunate event. And what I can see is actually G.V. Narasimha Rao Sahab and Tanvir are both saying actually the same thing. And I wish all political parties, politicians of every hue and color would actually be on the same page today and not be speaking against each other. That's my first issue. As far as the security and safety of Kashmiri Pandits are concerned, you see, in the hierarchy of security requirements in the valley, you will find that the most difficult thing to do is to secure the minorities. I'm aware of this because in 2011, I am the one who gave consent to allow these 3,000 Kashmiri Pandits to come in. The Visu camp and the Sheikhpura camp were both established at that time, and I did guarantee to a lot of people that we will do our best. The army will do its best to support all the other security forces. Unfortunately, I think we have failed in maybe one or two areas since October last year as a targeted manner. Pakistan and with what's happened in Afghanistan, we have seen events cascading since October till now, particularly the aspect of targeted minority killings. Because this is the one way that terrorists and separatists can remain relevant in the valley. Now, this is the time actually we should be putting all our heads together, reviewing the situation. There is no reason why Rahul Bhat was ever posted out from Budgam district headquarters and sent to Chadura, for example. There is no particular reason for that. And no one is alluding to the thing as to why was it done. His wife apparently had also appealed for this.
His wife repeatedly appealed. In fact, in that interview to India Today, she's repeatedly said that he prayed, do not send me out from Budgam, do not send me to Chadura, there is no security in Chadura, and yet this was done. Perhaps
see, Gaurav, if I may make one more point just.
Yes, sir.
You see, there are pockets all over the valley. It's not just the Kashmiri Pandits. There are Sikh areas of Sikh minority residing in different areas like Mir Bazar and Singhpura and places like that. If the administration really wants to get its act together as far as the security forces are concerned, they can actually do it. They can do it. Of course, no one can ever guarantee in a situation of terrorism that an odd targeting will not take place. But definitely, I think much more can be done.
Okay. G.V. Narasimha Rao, it's a very fair point that's being raised. Meenakshi Bhatt, the young Kashmiri Hindu Pandit widow, she's questioned the Prime Minister, she's questioned the Home Minister, saying that the Pandits had faith in the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. They've returned to the valley in larger numbers, and yet they're being treated as sacrificial lambs at a political altar. The fact that a Kashmiri Hindu Pandit is being sent to Chadura despite his repeated request, don't send me, he's still being sent. The wife suspects that there was a game plan to have him killed. Will this be investigated and will the guilty be punished? G.V. Narasimha Rao.
Gaurav, I think because of the tragic and the shocking nature of killing, there are a lot of people who are actually making a lot of accusations, and the government has a duty to ensure that their fears and their worries are addressed. And I certainly think these are the criticism that is coming forth must result in some kind of a examination, inquiry in terms of even transfer policy, posting policy. All this, I think, is something that needs to be looked at. I, for one, believe that we cannot accept that this is a random killing, an odd killing. and then wait for the next one to happen. We must. The government has already, the LG Lieutenant Governor has already announced an inquiry, an SIT into even the incident today, and why force was used, what was the nature of force used, was it warranted? I think this is an inquiry that must happen so that we do not
Kashmiri
give
Pandits
a
deserve
feeling
justice. For 30
Certainly,
years,
absolutely.
they deserve
totally
justice.
agree
The
with
manner in
Gaurav.
which they are being ill-treated in their own country, refugees in our own country, and yet we are treated in this manner because Tanvir Sadiq, this isn't an isolated case. You know, Rahul Bhat's widow is not an isolated case of a person making a complaint. Even if Pandits were brought back, the way they are being posted in the valley points to persecution. There are many such complaints that have been made, and this needs to be looked into because whoever is doing it is clearly no friend of the Pandits, sir.
Definitely, Gaurav. I totally agree with General Saab when he says that there was no reason to send Rahul to Chadura. I mean, why would you do that? And even today, I mean, I'm not playing politics, but I'm telling you honestly, all these Kashmiri Pandits need to be put where they are. They shouldn't be sent out. Let them have some sense of security. Let them have some faith in the government.
No, district headquarters, safer locations, secure environment until things improve.
Imagine a young man has been killed. Imagine what they must be feeling. I just saw a video on the Twitter where Kashmiri Pandit is saying that our doors have been locked and we can't go to Jammu. Look at the fear they must be feeling right now. So the first and foremost thing is that the government should ensure that there is a sense of security in them. And if they want to go to Jammu, please let them go. Let them calm down a bit. They've been protesting since morning and they've been lathi charged for that.
Okay,
this is not the way to
Gen Hasnain, you know, if they go to Jammu, if they feel more secure in Jammu, it's actually, you know, Kashmiriyat being dead and buried twice over, if not many times over, instead of Kashmiri Muslims coming and forming a cordon around them and protecting them, saying let them go to Jammu, is actually then Valley for Muslims and Jammu for Hindus, and that's rather unfortunate.
Just a small point.
Kashmiri Muslims have the last 1 minute on the broadcast.
Just 1 minute.
Okay,
Kashmiri Muslims were there today with them in the protest. All of them were around them and protecting them.
Sir, let it not be symbolic. Let it actually come from within so that we can show to the world we are one country, that Kashmiriyat is actually true.
This is the crux. This is the most important point, Tanvir. This symbolic ownership of security is not good enough. Kashmiri Muslims have to take full ownership of the security of Kashmiri Pandits. This is what we have been working for the last 30 years, ever since 19th of January 1990. We actually achieved a lot. We should not have any slippages in this. Yes. Kashmiri Pandits must be given full security, and that too by their neighbors.
I totally agree. But under bureaucratic rule, you don't expect much.
No, and let it not be symbolic, let it be substantive. If you need to take action against terrorists and a terror-enabling ecosystem, GVL Narasimha Rao, now is the time to do it. Destroy that infrastructure that supports terror. GVL Narasimha Rao, last 30 seconds, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And the security forces, mind you, have done a fantastic job of it. But certainly, incidents like this shake the confidence, I agree. And sending all the Kashmir Pandits out of Kashmir is exactly what these perpetrators of this dastardly crime want. And we should not be really succumbing to it. We should certainly find every possible way to secure them, to ensure that another killing of Kashmir Pandit does not happen. But sending them all into Jammu or outside Kashmir is exactly what Pakistan or the perpetrators of this dastardly act want, and we should not really
and not words. Absolutely. For joining me here, GVL Narasimha Rao, Tanvir Sadiq and Gen Hasnain, as always, many thanks.